No.
And he stares him down.
Okay. No.
With his family here, his wife Isha, Miss Deborah, his mom, he does it again. Slow start, that boils up, and a thunderous finish here in Vegas.
I'm interested.
9 devastating power punches in that 4th round, and as good of a start as Kell Brook had, Crawford demolishes him.
All right, let's talk. We're here live, real time. We're going to get you some highlights. And after that knockdown, you can tell Kell Brook wasn't the same. Now, Terence Crawford was eating a lot of jabs. You can say that, it could have been, what was it, 2-1 going into the third? Going into the 4th? What round was it? That was the 3rd round stoppage, wasn't it? That was the 4th. You could say arguably it was 2-1 Kell Brook. But once he switched southpaw and took that jab away from him, Kell Brook, and also you started seeing that right hook going over the jab of Kell Brook's, like when he was trying. My biggest concern, though, was Kell Brook was loading up on them straight rights, especially once Terence Crawford switched southpaw. That's his family, by the way. So, listen. I'm not trying to hear no excuses, because in my personal opinion, Kell Brook was a very dangerous fighter coming into this fight. Terence Crawford himself said he didn't want Kell Brook. He wanted a bigger name because he didn't want basically Errol Spence leftovers. Now, we've talked a lot about it this week. And it's like, now, who does he fight next? Because it's not going to be Errol Spence unless it's going to be Errol Spence over on PBC. I've already said it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm not one to really get into what fighters are making. Terence Crawford is reported to be making $4 million tonight for a non-pay-per-view fight. I've been reading a lot of the comments from a lot of casual fans in the last video saying stuff like Tank Davis, Leo Santa Cruz made more than him. No, they didn't. For them to be able to put a fight like this, for him to be making $4 million and Kell Brook to be reportedly making $2 million on TV, that's a big, big deal. So the money is not an issue. The problem is PBC, Al Heyman, with guys like Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, who were fighting on December the 5th. He has all of this. Look at this punch. Oh, it was a stiff one in the eye. Oh, yeah, he's done. It was a stiff one in the eye. We need another replay of that. You can tell he wasn't the same. Ooh! Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, please like the video. We're not doing this for our health. We cover every single Terence Crawford fight. That shit was stiff, and it went right to the eye. No wonder why. Look, let's turn it up.
Boom. And that shot wasn't even on the chin. That shot was right on the eye, and it had that type of effect on Kell Brook. That shows you what type of devastating punching power Terence Crawford.
And if you don't know, Kell Brook did something that a lot of fighters we wish they would do, and his eye sockets paid the price. He fought Gennady Golovkin for unified titles at 160 pounds on somewhat short notice. What was it? It wasn't even 4-8 weeks, was it? Got his eye socket broken, then went back down to 147 pounds and fought Errol Spence Jr. to lose his 147-pound IBF title and got his other eye socket broken. So for a punch like that to hit him right where it is, like that shit was devastating. And confidence-wise, oh yeah, he was great. That was a good stoppage. Now that I'm looking at it, that was a good stoppage because he was vulnerable, he was frozen, deer in the headlights, he was done. So as I was saying before we get to the post-fight interview, I don't expect for him to call out anybody, but he should be a little fiery. And it's like, who does he fight next? Because I don't see Al Heyman sending any of the PBC guys over. It's going to have to be Terence Crawford going over to PBC. And if Errol Spence defeats Danny Garcia, whether you like it or not, he should surpass Terence Crawford in pound-for-pound supremacy, in my personal opinion. I'm not saying he should be number 1 pound for pound. By the way, I'm working on my own pound for pound list, by the way. that I'm going to be putting on my website, FightView 360, once I get around to updating that next week, since next week is a chill boxing week before shit pick back up, the week of Thanksgiving.
14 seconds over 4. Declaring your winner by technical knockout, and still WBO welterweight champion of the world, Terence Bud Crawford! Terence Crawford, folks, is 37-0 with 28 knockouts. He's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world for a reason. One more time, and then we will hear from him. How he finishes, chopping right, driving left, driving left. See ya, Mr. Brook. Head back to Sheffield, England. Take your $2 million.
Damn, Tessitore, that was savage. So yeah, as I said, like okay, for the casuals, for the people who don't really know how boxing works, Terence Crawford is the WBO champion. There are too many belts in boxing. This belt Yordenis Ugas has, I don't count that. By the way, I would enjoy a Terence Crawford versus Yordenis Ugas fight, but is that a fight that's going to move the needle? A fight that Terence Crawford is going to be like, okay, I'll stay with you top ring for this fight. If Al Heyman, Ugas is an Al Heyman fighter, by the way, sends him over. So when you look at it, the top guys at 147 pounds outside of Virgil Ortiz Jr., a Golden Boy rumored MTK Golden global fighter, or was that like a rumor? I mean, like fake news. Well, anyway, all the main fights that Terence Crawford would want at 147, they're over on what's considered the other side of the street, PBC Al Heyman. It's frustrating, that it's taken so long to get these fights. But can you blame PBC and Al Heyman for Errol Spence cleaning up his side of the street first before he go try to fight somebody on the other side of the street? And meanwhile, you can't tell me the Errol Spence side and Al Heyman is not telling him, listen, champ, fight these guys over here and let's frustrate him. We ain't gonna send nobody over there. Eventually, he gonna win out. I'm not saying Al Heyman telling him this, but if from a business standpoint, if you were Al Heyman, I would do that. Because why do a joint promotion, where it's not gonna be enough money in the pot? I mean, it will be enough money in the pot for both fighters, but then you have another promotional company, another network, that has to get some of it. And I'm sorry, Spence versus Crawford, which it is Spence versus Crawford, in my opinion. Well, yeah, Spence has going into his third pay-per-view. So, in my opinion, it's Spence versus Crawford, not Crawford versus Spence. From the fight, it's a slippery slope, but that's my opinion. So, the thing is, look here, right? Terence Crawford, WBO 147-pound champion. When you're a champion, you got to fight somebody in the top 15. Sean Porter, PBC fighter. You got Virgil Ortiz. You got Mikey Garcia. Eddie Hearn, fighter, moonlights with PBC. Bad relationship with Top Rank, even though they said they would, work things out in the future if it was for the right fight. You got Yordenis Ugas. You got Castillo Clayton, who fought Sergey Lipinets to be the #1 contender for Errol Spence's IBF. And then look, what names there? You got Keith Thurman, who asked for $10 million. You got Jaron Boots Enos, but I don't see that fight happening. Even Jamal James is a PBC fighter. So what we're doing is they're still on commercial break. We're waiting for them to come back, and we're going to listen to the post-fight interview. And hopefully Terence Crawford gives us something. Like, who do you want next, bro? And as I was saying earlier, I'm like, listen, fans are tired of this shit. You have to make a decision financially, of course. Fighters are going to say that. But, I'm like, listen, go to PBC. Go to PBC.
DraftKings, and it was this from the southpaw stance of Terence
PBC fanboy.
Short,
it's hard to say.
Hand, that little hook that started the end of things in devastating fashion.
Especially
Terence Crawford,
they made
a calculated start,
they created him.
After Kell Brook had success with the jab, makes
so I believe in loyalty, especially if the money's right.
Puts on the power show, and now he's with Bernardo.
All right, Terence Crawford still discussing the victory with promoter Bob Arum. Terence, it was close until it wasn't. What did you see that you were able to take advantage of?
Well, I was just trying to gauge the distance. He had good distance, and I was trying to find my rhythm in between, getting my distance together. And, that's why it was so competitive at first. I couldn't get my shots off.
What adjustments were you able to make to finally get to Kell Brook?
Well, you know, just step forward a little more, throw a little more punches, but not too much. And I caught up with him a couple of times.
I know that you always talk about having to excel the expectations for you. Well, you did tonight because it took Errol Spence 11 rounds to beat him, and you did it in 4. Does that mean anything to you?
Not at all. You know, it was different fights. You know, different, years and whatnot. But Kell's a tremendous talent. I can't take nothing away from him. He came and he tried to take my title. He was in shape. He made the weight. So there was no excuses to be put on the table. He just came off of 3 wins, not coming off of a loss. So he had his confidence up, and he lost to the better man tonight.
You've been clear. The names you want are Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence. How do you make that happen?
Let me tell you something, and I mean this. Spence and Garcia are fighting December 5. If they really want to make a big pay-per-view, I'll put Terence Crawford in with both of them, one at a time, and he beat both of them the same night. He is far and away the best welterweight in the world. He goes back to the great welterweights like Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. He would have been competitive with them. The welterweights around now are not competitive with Terence Crawford.
And Bob, you know that what made that era great is that everybody fought everybody, and you were able to make the fights with the heavyweights, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, twice. Will we see Bud in the ring with Errol Spence in the near future?
Errol Spence will try to avoid Terence Crawford as long as he can because he knows he can't beat Terence Crawford. You saw the performance tonight. I mean, he'll take out Errol Spence in about the same number of rounds like he took out Kell Brook.
Now, we all want to see that fight. I know you want that fight. There was a lot written this week. Where are you, Terence, in terms of your future?
Well, I'm looking to secure a Pacquiao fight. You know, we was close to securing a Pacquiao fight prior to this fight. But being that the COVID, was getting out of hand, the fans couldn't attend the fight, so we had to put a halt to it, and that's when we decided to go with Kell Brook. He was the next available known welterweight that was available to fight. So now we're going to go back to the drawing board and try to revisit that fight with Manny Pacquiao.
We all know that with Pacquiao, it's money. Bob, is it all there for this fight to finally happen in 2021? I know Terence has wanted it, you wanted it.
The money was there. It had been committed. It was a fight that was going to take place in a country in the Mideast. And then the Minister of Health in that country said, you can't do it because I can't guarantee that we'll allow spectators, and it would have been this week. So he was right. Now they've called us and they said if Terence is successful, we want to resume the talks and see if we can do it in the spring, either before or after Ramadan.
Looks like we're going to the Middle East.
Let's go.
Thank you very much, Terence. Thank you very much, Bob. Joe, back to you.
Now, that's going to be up for fans to believe. Now, you know how people feel, especially PBC. Top-ranked detractors. Oh, wait, let's listen to Kell Brook.
You look real good, then all of a sudden, what happened?
This is boxing. I obviously got caught with a shot I didn't see, and the referee waved it off. That's never happened to me before. But I've always said if I'm in a fight and I'm going to lose, I'm going to go out on my shield. And the referee obviously seen that I couldn't continue, so the fight is over. So I don't like to lose on an injury and stuff like that. If I'm going to lose, then I'd rather lose out on my shield. The better man won tonight.
Kell, you've been in there with the best in the world. You've been in there with the very best of the welterweight division. You've been in with Spence, Triple G, Sean Porter. What was different, or was anything different, about Terence Crawford?
That's a crazy resume. Won a loss.
I can't, even though I've been beat by him, I can't sit here now and say he'd beat Spence, he'd beat Porter, because styles make fights. But one thing he has got good distance, and he's got fast stands obviously, and he's got a good eye, to land a shot, So it'd be very interesting, He's definitely, because that's never in my career. Nobody's ever done that to me in sparring or anything, So obviously it's different weight ounce gloves
Terence
on.
Crawford did it to you.
One of them, you know, I got caught with a shot I didn't see, and you know, the fight's over. I'm gutted, you know, because I am. Nobody could have got me in a better condition. I was bang on the limit on the scale. I felt great, you know. Maybe you know, the problem would have probably been me. I could have been a bit more relaxed and, you know, been a bit more loose and let the shots have gone off more, and then I would have got into my rhythm, believe it or not. But the fight's gone the way it has, and that is that.
Look, you look pretty good. You came in shape, obviously. You faced them both. What's the difference between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford?
They're both really good, you know, even though, and they've been brought up the traditional ways in how to box from, you know, in America. They know exactly how to teach how to box in every style. You know, in Britain we're a bit, you know, behind the times, so, you know, it's a bit different. But I think that'd be I think that's the fight to make. You know, I can't actually. You know, even though he's stopped me tonight, Terence, I can't sit here and say he would do that to Spence or he'd beat Spence. You know, it'd be a fight still that everyone needs to see.
I understand that, but you're rich in experience and talent, and you saw something in him. You wanted this fight. How was it different? What was distinct about his style that you didn't figure on?
I think his timing is great, and you know, I was looking across, and I did have a little bit of success, but for some reason I didn't feel comfortable to let my hands pop for some reason, you know, and that's what he made me do. You know, I've seen great fighters come out, and I've seen him in different fights and they chucking lots of shots, and I've seen him with certain fighters and they don't even chuck many shots that round or in the fight because that fighter makes them do that. He obviously made me do that, and, you know, he comes out, his stance and everything else. It's a funny one, it's an hard one, but he's a great talent. You know, he's obviously a great talent.
Kell, thank you. You've always been a great champion, great fighter. Appreciate what you brought tonight. Joe, back to you.
Got to have respect for Kell Brook for the challenges he has taken on. Sports Center is coming up in just a moment, but we're not going anywhere. We have complete coverage of everything here with Terence Bud Crawford and his TKO victory. Sports Center coming up in a moment. You heard the Hall of Famer.
Let me make sure my DVR is set. We're going to use that for the post-fight show. Shockingly, surprisingly, and disappointing, you know, there's not going to be a post-fight Zoom press conference. You know, they had one for Loma versus Teofimo. This is just going to feed the narrative. Oh, well, they treat, you know, Teofimo and Loma better. You know, all that shit. But yeah, I like, you know, post-fight press conference. No, nothing. You know, like, this is one of those things, like, where, like, listen, you want Terence Crawford's voice to be heard. But in regards to the Pacquiao situation, we did a video on that, talked about it, that it was supposed to happen in, how do you say it? In Qatar. Qatar. They're the ones that secured the money. Pacquiao was going to make, what, about $23.5 million, Terence Crawford $6 million plus or whatever. You know, and it was supposed to be like a passing of the torch type of thing. But Manny Pacquiao was being linked to Conor McGregor. He was being linked to Mikey Garcia. And I'm guessing the Mikey Garcia offer wasn't as big as the Top Rank offer. You know, you have rumors that showing Gibbons, the manager of Manny Pacquiao, one of the managers or handlers of Manny Pacquiao, saying like, yo, that shit, we ain't talked to them. We don't know. In fact, let me go check his Twitter real quick to see if he put anything up. You know, but in my opinion, it just looks like Pacquiao was that carrot, you know, that's just been dangling over. You know, like, well, stay with us, stay with us. But the money's there. Listen, I'm not with the narrative that everybody got to go to PBC in order to be successful. I'm not with that. You know, why can't he be his own man where he at on ESPN? But at the same time, I'm like, listen, if they're not, and it doesn't look like Al Heyman's going to give him the fights, then it's like, yo, go over there. But PBC and Fox are somewhat under the same umbrella, even if it's not the sports that, not PBC, ESPN and Fox, even if it's not the sports that they own still. We saw that they were able to work together for Wilder versus Fury 2. But I don't see Spence versus Crawford having that same appeal. Like, not only just globally, you know, but yes, all hardcores. I don't know, you know. I want them to get it done. You know, if I had my way, Terence Crawford will be able to stay with Top Rank, you know, and be on ESPN and you know, be able to get the fights that he wants. And in my opinion, we got to see how, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would say that Errol Spence could probably be able to beat Terence Crawford. I always been flip-flopping with that the last few years. I've been flip-flopping. To me, it's truly a 50-50 fight, but I want to see how Errol Spence looks against Danny Garcia December the 5th. We're going to be here for that, and there will be a post-fight press conference for that. Showtime or PBC Fox. I think it's Fox, it's not Showtime. Hopefully there will be. And they follow the same thing, format that Showtime does for their pay-per-views during COVID. So I'm TstreeT Controversy with FightView360.com. We cover every single. So he's finally admitted Twitty was offered more money to fight Joshua. Oh, that's a different one. So yeah, I was checking his Twitter to see if he put anything up. Anyway, please subscribe, like the video, and we're just gonna have to see. So I'm guessing Terence Crawford's gonna be back sometime in March, April. Pacquiao can fight in April or before or after Ramadan, they're saying. Here, let me record SportsCenter, get up out of here, and start my live stream. This is TstreeT Controversy with FightView360.com. Please subscribe.
Brought to you by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app to play free for $10,000 in prizes tonight. Use promo code